Hey, fellow DMs and world builders. I want to talk about a little technique that I think a lot of other people use, but nobody really talks about. And it's a technique I use for naming. Um, I attach a real world language to each ethnicity in my world, and I try to keep like language groups and families together as much as possible in ways that make sense based on different ethnicities' origins. But that aside, a common writer's block issue is naming something, be that a city or a piece of food or an article of clothing or an instrument or just like the hill outside of town or the local mountain range. The way that I do this is after attaching this real world language, I basically just use Google Translate to find something that I like the sound of that has a correlating meaning in just my own English because I'm a dumb American who's unfortunately monolingual. Uh, and then I will use that as the name. The beauty of Google Translate is that even for a lot of languages, you also get the phonetic sound. So you can take like a Russian translation and transliterate it over to a name if you need to. And then that name has an actual meaning behind the scenes. And I usually will note that down in my notes because I like to have that stored away and tucked away. If I ever need to be like, oh yeah, in this culture, you asked what this means. It means this. You can even go like, let's say so the UD people, I use Russian. Frozen North, you can think Siberia, kind of an easy inspiration. Let's say they have a city on the edge of a glacier overlooking an ocean. So what I'll do is I'll go to Google Translate and I'll be like, okay, what's glacier, what's ocean, what's cliff, and maybe put a couple of them together to see how it might change in the translation. And then I could go for a longer name if I want to use a couple together, or I could take a couple of those words that I like and I can just combine them and I can conjugate them. And so I'm still using the phonetics of the language. I might be doing it wrong, but it lends to consistently named cities. And then you could throw in maybe a different language sometimes. It's like, oh, whoa, that's weird that there's like a city with a name that sounds like Irish or Scottish in the UD people's place. And maybe that's because of the Thorians who live with them, that kind of thing. So let me know what you guys think. I'm curious, do other people do this? Do other people have better techniques? I don't have the time to make constructed languages for the peoples in my world. If you do, I think that's awesome. I think that's amazing. But what do other dungeon masters do?